the first place to start, if you want to consider bringing in the most popular thing of the compounded injectable GLPs, but if you're looking into entering a relationship with a 503B, FDA registered outsourcing facility, or a central fill agreement with a 503A pharmacy, I would first check your state board and see if they've published any kind of requirements, and what you can do, because not a lot of state boards have come out vocally, but some have. So definitely see what's out there, see what your central fill rules and regs are in your state, and then reach out to some of the 503B and 503A pharmacies. We've vetted a ton of them, because let's say, for example, there's maybe 75 503B pharmacies in the country. Not all of them are selling to pharmacies, because the traditional model for them, if you remember, is 503Bs typically sell products and shortage products to hospitals, to clinics, not usually to pharmacies. This 503B selling to a pharmacies is kind of a new phenomenon, and it was brought on by the GLPs getting on the shortage list, it being such a hot product that all these patients want. And actually, the FDA approached multiple 503B FDA registered outsourcing facilities and asked them if they would start compounding commercial copies of the semaglutide and the tirzepatide to help the market with this shortage. But these are really the first products that I've seen in my history. I've been working in pharmacy since I was 16, and that was a long time ago. And this is the first time that I've seen a Blockbuster pharmacy product on an FDA shortage. So this whole new channel, it's fascinating. But to answer your first question, check your state regulations, and then reach out to some of the 503Bs, 503As, just to ask them, do you ship into my state? Is there anything I need to be aware of? How can I get started? Can you send me some information, documentation about your products or how I would get started? And then, of course, shameless plug, we've done all the research at my company, Atrium 24, and had a ton of like webinars and made marketing materials and a whole sales system, because this is an exciting opportunity.
It sure is. And Nicolette, you can't get, you can't buy from 503A though and resell it, right? It's got to be the 503B.
It depends. It's just different. You can, but it's different. So 503A by definition is a pharmacy. So all of our pharmacies are 503A. If you are buying a sterile compounded semaglutide, tirzepatide from a 503A, that means that you found another pharmacy that does sterile compounding, and you said, hey, pharmacy, I want to buy that from you, and I want to dispense it to my patient. There is a way that you can do that through a central fill model, through a 503A central fill model. But the thing about the 503A and the central fill is that's state regulated, whereas the 503B is federally regulated, because remember, those are federally registered outsourcing facilities. So 503A, you can do it, but it's much more complicated because, to your point, now you can't just order the drug, put it in your fridge, and dispense it like normal, like you would on the 503B. With a 503A central fill, you have to patient specific enter into a deal, like a contract with that other 503A pharmacy who's a sterile compounder, and say, hey, I have a prescription for Mrs. Jones, and you have to give them all that information. Here's all the prescription information. I need you to fill it. Then I need you to send it back to me, and now I'm going to dispense it to Mrs. Jones.
Yep. That's good to know. That's a good delineation there. For sure.
I prefer 503B. You might pay a little more, but just it's kind of night and day when I look into and do due diligence and look into 503B pharmacies. It may be more expensive. However, they are FDA inspected. They do have to comply by CGMP, so current good manufacturing practices. They do have to they're a manufacturing facility, so they have to do so much testing, endotoxin testing, bioburden. They have to test the API powder when they get it in from China to make sure it's the right stuff. They have to test it during their manufacturing process, after their manufacturing process. Like, 503B is legit. 503A,
Yeah.
do you know if that sterile pharmacy that you're asking to fill that prescription and send it back to you, do you know where they bought the powder from? Do you know what kind of testing they're doing? Do you know, has the FDA inspected them? Probably not.
Yeah.
Yep.
What is the typical retail that you're seeing selling these to patients? Retail price?
Good question. We get that question a lot, so much so that I just had our clinical pharmacist, Annie. She made a whole sheet on semaglutide and tirzepatide strengths and vial sizes and the different MSRPs that we're seeing in the market. But really what the standard kind of semaglutide is the 5 milligram vial. So it's the semaglutide 2.5 milligram per ml, 2 ml. So it's a 5 milligram vial. Of course, as you know, patients titrate their doses up, so they'll start paying more after this. But we're seeing pharmacies sell them anywhere from $200 to $400 or $500. And the cost is about, depending on where you buy it from, again, the cost is anywhere I've seen from like 90. And remember, you have to look at quality, but I've seen anywhere from $90 to $150. So let's just say cost 100, sell it for 2. I love that. Cost 100, sell it for 4. I love that even more. And I don't say that out of greed, because that gives me pause as a pharmacist, right? To be like, oh, should we be making this much money? Well, even you offering this product to your patients for $200, for $400, depending on your market and on the competitive landscape of your market, even you offering it to your patients for that much money, that's still much cheaper than they're going to be able to buy the shortage brand name product for. Because remember, even if it was covered on their insurance, it's like $500 or $1,500. So $400, much cheaper.
Well, it is a supply and demand issue, right? And because there's not a whole lot of supply, there's limited supply, which is why you have the 503Bs. You got patients that are demanding it like crazy. So you can be aggressive with the pricing here, because that's just the economics of it.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So what else, Nicolette? Anything else you want to add, Nicolette?
You know, yeah, I think about this a lot, and hopefully there will always be something. That's always been the part that I love about my job over the past decade. In really like clinical R&D is what I like to think of it as. What is the next way for pharmacies to make money ethically? Where is that balance? Where is the due diligence? Is it ethical? Does it check all the boxes? But there will always be something, an opportunity for pharmacies. There always has been. You know, if you think about when HRT compounding first came out, and then you think about sildenafil and the cash pricing and all that, some people are still cranking out sildenafil programs. Now we have this GLP craze, which is crazy. But what did we have right before this? We had COVID. So a lot of people just sat back and kind of slept on COVID testing, COVID vaccines, all those things. And then on the other side, a lot of people dove right in, changed their business model, and served their community, and they made money. You know, this is the same thing. This is the hottest opportunity. This could be bigger than COVID. It's cash, so we're not dealing with trying to get paid for all those vaccines. This is awesome. So I wouldn't sleep on this. It's people are doing it all over the country. It's a huge business.
And it's not going to last forever, though, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So one of the things that, because we just recently had Day from Friar Levitt on our podcast, and Scotty brought up how long something like this will last. So do you have a timeline for, how long you expect something like this to be around for?
Yeah, it's our clinical pharmacist, Annie, does a ton of research, and we read a lot of the Pharma Journal articles that are coming out. Matter of fact, I think we're going to post about it even today. Pfizer, the CEO announced on Monday, so yesterday, that they have 3 drugs in the pipeline for weight loss right now. So all the other, right now it's Lilly and Novo Nordisk, who are putting out the GLPs with the Mounjaro and the the Ozempic, and then the derivatives. But Pfizer's come in too with 3 of them. 2 of them follow the GLP pathway. 1 of them follows a different pathway that they haven't disclosed. There's another drug in development that's pretty far down the trials, retatrutide. I've only read it. I don't know the pronunciation. But the 2-pronged, this current GLP shortage on the semaglutide and the tirzepatide, from everything that we can see, we think it'll last into 2026. So that's a long time for you to be making $100 a pop on a cash prescription at least. And think about it. Your patients are going on. Yeah, they're going online to buy it anyway. So let's keep the patient in our community and in our care, and let's counsel them properly, and let's help them to lose this weight and have adequate protein intake and do some lifestyle changes, because now they're motivated, right? Now they're encouraged. Let's reduce their cardiovascular disease. Let's get them off some of these medications. So that's one side. Now, the other side is, let's say the manufacturing plants catch up and they can make the pens, because I think that's what the big delay is, and semaglutide and tirzepatide come off the shortage list. The next drugs and the next drugs and the next drugs are most likely going to be on the shortage list too. So set up your system now. Get involved in this opportunity now, because I don't think it's going away. This is just the first drugs. And then let's think about this. This 503B opportunity to essentially offer sterile compounded products in your pharmacy without having to own a sterile pharmacy, without having to build out a sterile lab and sterile staff and testing and all that. Now you can start ordering from 503B. We're researching it now and vetting the sources. You can start ordering Trimix for ED. You can start ordering some HRT compounds. You can bring in essentially the full book of sterile compounded products to your patients, and the margins are awesome because you're not compounding it. Your labor costs are very, very low to provide these products.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
Whole new
so I'm
relationship,
excited.
whole new set of doors are opening here.
Yeah, because these 503Bs don't sell to patients. So you connect in there and you say, no, I'll sell your products to patients. They sell to clinics, hospitals, and these med spas. They're not as good as us in this distribution model, in this patient care model.
Not even close.
Yeah, I'm biased, but
Well, that's good stuff, Nicolette.
yeah, it's exciting.